I'm Carly, and now it's time for CHS Today. Auditions for the spring play, a quick-paced comedy called Harvey, will be held in the theater today and tomorrow at 4. Script sides can be picked up in Miss Davis's room, 201, and Mr. Heisey's room, 120. You only need to attend one day. Anyone interested in being a part of the stage crew should come by and fill out a crew form, but you do not need to stay for auditions. The CHS academic teams will compete in their first virtual meet next Wednesday, January 20th. The meet will begin at 5:30 and team members are encouraged to be in the media center at 5 or earlier if individual coaches require it. Enter through the field house. See your team coaches to let them know whether you plan to attend and to ask any questions. There will be a junior and senior ECH cohort meeting in the auditorium on Thursday for A through K students. L through Z students will have this meeting on Friday. It is important that all of the juniors and senior cohorts attend this meeting. Any student interested in being in choir next school year who are currently in choir should see Mrs. Schaefer before February 1st. There are some changes coming to the choir classes being offered, and dancing is no longer required for choir classes and performances. Today is Martin Luther King Jr. Day. He would have turned 92 on this day, but was assassinated in 1968. Here's a video on why he was important to the nation and the civil rights movement.
So Martin Luther King, his legacy probably can't be understated. He's probably one of the most important American figures of all time. People know him for his marches for civil rights and leading boycotts, but his legacy actually goes so much deeper than just civil rights. A lot of people don't realize that movement to, let's say, desegregate private businesses, that was actually not something that people give him enough credit for. That was a very, very vicious legal fight. I'm a former attorney, so I can speak to this a little bit. But the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, that had very little to do with private business conduct. But a big part of Martin Luther King's legacy is how he was able to impact private businesses and even relationships between landowners and tenants and landlords and tenants. So his legacy continues to impact us even to this day, and it's going to be for hundreds of years after the fact. A lot of people don't realize how extreme his views were, even considered extreme to this day. He stood very firmly for workplace opportunities, a balance of power between the people who had the wealth and the people who didn't. He was a big supporter of unions and labor rights, and that's something of his legacy that often gets overlooked but is no less important. So around this time, as we start considering Martin Luther King and his legacy, we should be open to all of the ways in which he has touched our lives, all of the things that he fought for, and we really should be mindful of everything. It's not just the I have a dream speech. There is no aspect of American life that he did not try and impact.
Martin Luther King had a dream that impacted history.
He fought for the civil rights movement and fought for people to be equal.
So on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day, it's really important that we take a step back and we think about why this day is important and why Martin Luther King is an important figure. Think about all of the things that he did for civil rights, the rights for all races and not just, one type of person. So it's really important on this day to kind of think back to all of the things that were done to make sure that we all have the same rights.
Martin Luther King was a great man. He did so much for the African American community, and he fought against racism in the 1950s. He was a great influence among America and other places, and he's a great guy.
Martin Luther King was very inspirational being. He fought for basic human rights for African American people and helped a lot of people just live the life how they should be able to live.
So Martin Luther King was super influential, obviously, in the civil rights movement, and he's so celebrated because he became extremely influential in the United States, and he was young, good-looking, and he was a Christian, which helped get average Americans kind of on his side and began the work of changing people's minds about racism and equal rights for African Americans. So he was able to get a lot of support from Americans who maybe were not as invested in previous years. And we celebrate him partially because of his great accomplishments of working with world leaders and United States leaders to pass some of that legislation, but also because unfortunately he was assassinated and his life and his work was ended too soon. So he's extremely important to remember, not only on Martin Luther King Day, but in general in U.S. history.
Lunch for Thursday will be a chili cheese dog with smile potatoes and spiced peaches, crispy chicken patty sandwich, and peanut butter and jelly. It's still chilly outside. Here's Sarah with your weather.
Thanks, ladies. And this comes back stronger than a 90s trend. It's weather time. So heading into this afternoon and this evening, it's going to be about 30 degrees and it's going to be cloudy. But as we head into tomorrow morning, the temperature is going to increase and you're going to start seeing some sun. Now, when we head into the beginning of the week, it's going to be mid to low 30s and it's going to be partly cloudy and cloudy. But as we head into Wednesday, temperatures are going to increase and we're going to still see some clouds and still going to see some sun. But as we head into Thursday and Friday, the temperatures are going to decrease into about the low to mid 30s. That's all for the weather. Now back to the desk.
Boys varsity basketball suffered a tough loss to Noblesville over the weekend, 43-44. Kobe Billups was the leading scorer with 14 points and 4 assists. Jonah Graham had 13 points, and Cole Martin and Gage Brown each contributed 6. The record is now 8-3 on the season, and the Spartans will next be in action Thursday at Shelbyville. The wrestling team competed in conference over the weekend. Jared Barrett placed second in the 160-pound weight class. Blake Beaver placed third in the 220 weight class. Levi DeGroat placed fourth at 195. Alex Fox placed third, and Evan Schaefer won conference in the 285-pound weight class. The team placed sixth. Congratulations to our wrestlers. The wrestling team still needs to meet in Jennings 120 for the first 10 minutes of SRE. This meeting is mandatory. Track and field conditioning begins today. Distance runners will practice at 4 in the Columbia hallway, and everyone else will practice 6 to 8 in the field house. There is no sports action for tonight. The only birthday for today is Naomi Reese. Birthdays for tomorrow are Grace Baker, Logan Gabbard, Caden Lakes, and Kara Payne. Happy birthday. It's hard to believe we only have 139 days until graduation, and that's all for CHS Today.